Queen Elizabeth I of England and Ireland. Queen Elizabeth I was born on September 7, 1533, in Greenwich, England. She was a princess but declared illegitimate when her mother was executed. She eventually claimed the throne at the age of 25 until she was 69, keeping England victorious in wars and in political and religious revolts. She died in 1603. Elizabeth I grew up in very difficult situations. She was the daughter of King Henry VIII and his second wife, Anne Boleyn. She was only 2 years old when she lost her mother. Anne Boleyn was beheaded by her husband, accused on probably unexisting charges. Soon, Elizabeth and her older half-sister Mary were declared illegitimate, as her father prepared the way for his son. Her half-brother Edward was born in 1537 by Henry VIII's third wife, Jane Seymour. Elizabeth was raised like any other royal child. She was taught and outstanding at languages and music. After her father's death in 1547, and after some political moving and trouble, her relationship with Seymour became complex, and Seymour was later tried for conspiring to wed Elizabeth in an attempt to gain power. Found guilty, Seymour was executed. Elizabeth once again found herself in political spotlight after Edward's death in 1553. Her older half-sister Mary and their cousin, Lady Jane Grey, both followed the crown. Edward had elected Grey to be his successor, but her reign was short. Mary gained the support of the English people and replaced Grey after only 9 days on the throne. Elizabeth supported Mary, but she wasn't free from suspicion. Mary, as a strict Roman Catholic, tried to bring back Roman Catholicism, undoing what her father did. Elizabeth became a candidate for the throne for those who wanted Protestantism. Thomas Wyatt organized a rebellion against Mary in 1554, hoping to bring Elizabeth to power. However, his plot was uncovered and he was quickly imprisoned. Elizabeth wasn't involved in the conspiracy, but her sister didn't trust Elizabeth. Elizabeth's life depended on Mary. Wyatt was executed and Elizabeth returned to Hatfield and continued studying. In 1558, Elizabeth finally became the Queen of England. She had to face some problems her sister left. The war with France, which made England lose a lot of money. There were also some tensions between the different religions because she had to cancel all her sister's work to bring Roman Catholicism to England. She quickly solved the problem. During her first session of Parliament in 1559, she passed the Act of Supremacy, which re-established the Church of England. Queen Elizabeth once said, "There is one Jesus Christ, the rest is a dispute over trifles." She ended up being excommunicated by Pope Pius V. With his advisor, William Cecil, she ended the war with France. She also avoided future wars against Spain and France for much of her reign. However, in 1585, she supported the Protestant rebellion against Spain and Netherlands. Spain attacked England with the Spanish Armada, which sank thanks to the weather. England became the most powerful navy, which became a very important factor in growing exploration and trade. Elizabeth was also a target of many people in an attempt of removing her from the throne. One of the greatest attempts was made by Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, and married to future friend King Francis II. When he died, she returned to Scotland and received proper Catholic education. She was supported by the English Catholics, but Elizabeth noticed her growing power and jailed her. Mary had many connections with several attempts of assassinating the Queen. After 20 years, Elizabeth agreed and Mary was executed in 1587. Elizabeth was also a target because she was a woman and very powerful, so anyone who married her would become King of England and Ireland. She used his diplomatic tactics to avoid many suitors during her reign. Philip II of Spain offered to wed Elizabeth, but she refused. Other possible suitors were the most powerful monarchs of Europe, the Queen of Sweden, Archduke Charles of Austria, the future King Henry III of France. She never got married, but she had some interest in court member Robert Dudley, which relationship was speculated and gossiped. Elizabeth, however, didn't want or needed any husband to share power. Instead, she shared it with the Parliament. She was married already to her job and people. Elizabeth also took some time for leisure. She loved music and could play the lute. Thomas Tallis and William Byrd were some of her court musicians. Elizabeth loved dancing and watching plays. The Golden Age started and arts flourished, with creation of works by great writers such as William Shakespeare. She was sometimes interpreted in some works. Elizabeth was honored by portraits too. She was a fashionist. She loved jewelry and clothing. She loved makeups too, which made her look very pale. Complicated times marked Elizabeth's end of reign. The country suffered from failed crops, unemployment, and inflation. There were riots over lack of food and revolts in Ireland. Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex, betrayed her and started his own rebellion after he was sent to stop the rebellion of Hugh O'Neill. He was executed in 1601. Although she was weakening, she showed her love to people in his speech, normally referred as her Golden Speech. In this speech, she reflects on his reign of the past. Of myself, I must say this: I was never a greedy, scrapping usurper, nor a straight, fast-holding priest, nor yet a waster. My heart was never set on worldly goods, but for my subjects' goods. Queen Elizabeth died on March 24, 1604, at Richmond Palace, Surrey. He ended the legacy of the Tudors, which was the royal family since the 1400s. James I, son of Mary Stuart, was the successor of Elizabeth. Elizabeth is remembered for a queen who supported her people and with his long reign supported the people with stability. She went through many political and religious challenges and supported art. She built up a great, powerful, and united nation in England.